Hi there, this is Allison with Let's Go Travel Tips. Today is Tuesday, it's July 26th of 2022, and I am really happy to be here with all of you, so thank you for coming. We've got lots to talk about today. We're going to talk about an itinerary change that is coming to a lot of Princess ships for the rest of this season. We're also going to talk about what's going on with the Book with Confidence program with Princess, as well as how some of the other cruise lines seem to be altering a little bit how they are going to cover if you end up coming down with COVID and have to quarantine and all of that, as well as a few updates from our live last night. And if we have any Let's Go family members sailing on the Diamond Princess, I want to hear from you. So I'll tell you first of all what we want from our Diamond Princess sailors. So I know we've got a few booked in the future, but I wanted to ask if when you're on board, would you let us know about that international cafe? Last night, Nicholas, our Let's Go family member, asked on our live. We checked the deck plans. None of us could see it. And then Emma, a Let's Go family member who sailed on her in 2019, said that she seems to recall that there is an international cafe. So when you're on board, would you please let us know if there is one or not? I know it's not a deal breaker, and there is plenty of food available on the cruise ship. That's not the point, but it's really fun to know what the individual ships have. And so if you'll let us know, I'll appreciate it. So let's go ahead and get started talking about what is going on in Alaska with these itinerary changes. And what made me really start looking at it was late last night, I received an email from our Let's Go family member, Jim, and he is on the Majestic Princess right now. He says, we're on the Majestic Princess and we're supposed to dock in Skagway tomorrow. They waited until 7:30 p.m. tonight to tell everyone we won't be going there and are going to Icy Strait instead. Very disappointing. So I sent him an email back asking if he knew anything else to do with it, and I haven't heard back yet. And I get that you're on a cruise, you don't even have to reply, but I wanted to let you know that then I looked into the news this morning, and indeed Princess has announced that they are going to have to make some changes. So if you are new around here, earlier this season, oh my goodness, I want to say at the end of May, beginning of June, there was a rock slide right by the dock that's right up against literally the hill there in Skagway, and it made it so that you can dock, that ships can easily dock at the second berth there on that pier, but the first one was right where the rocks came down and there was the landslide. So they had been working to get that fixed. In the short term, they have been having several of the ships dock over in Haines and then take, ferry over to be able to get everyone to be able to take their excursions in Skagway. So that's what they've done in the short term. But then, based on everything that's going on and what they think that area there is more unstable than they had originally thought, the White Pass has decided to close that berth, that first dock right there, for the rest of the season. And then hopefully by next year, they'll be able to do something about it to make it so that will be open again. But they are moving, they're not having that dock right there. The train, usually came right there to pick up passengers. And so that whole little area right there is going to be closed. And so the Royal class ships of Princess, like your Majestic, the Royal Princess, and even sometimes the other ships would go ahead and dock in that port. And it must be really hard for them to be able to dock in Haines and ferry over. I don't know why they're not doing that, or maybe they are doing that with some of the other ships and haven't mentioned it yet. So when you might recall when I was there, if you want to go back and look at my video, you can. I'll have Gordon link up below. But as we were pulling in, we were further over. When I was on Holland America, we were several docks over, and then the Crown Princess slid in right next to us. She came right behind us, and so we were not up against that hill. And so let me tell you what they're saying about what's affected. It says, as a result, the July 26th, which is today, sailing of the Majestic will instead call at Icy Strait Point, but the Crown Princess will continue with its scheduled call in Skagway today, since it docks at a different pier there. It says this development will also affect the July 27th call of the Royal Princess, the July 28th call of the Discovery Princess, and the July 30th visit of the Grand Princess, the specifics of which are still being coordinated. And so it says, Princess will continue to work with officials from Skagway and the White Pass Railroad to determine when scheduled calls can return. So we will just see what happens. I know that when that right happened, the Discovery Princess was there. They quickly moved her, like when the landslide happened, they moved her out, and then she anchored that day and they tendered in. But that's a whole nother set of logistics that maybe they aren't prepared there to be able to allow right now. So it's just going to be really interesting to see what happens with this. And like I always do, I'm so sorry for all of you that are not going to go to Skagway who thought you were going to go to Skagway. I'll be really interested to see if the cruise line offers anything, or if it's just part of they always say that you need to be aware that you're calling a certain port. Your itinerary might be unexpectedly changed. And, for years and years they have said that, but we never saw that too terribly often, like very rarely. And so it's a new thing that is changing so much this year, with so much going on in not only Alaska, but in different places as well, basically since the restart. So if any of you are booked on those cruises and you have any other information as you receive it, would you please let us know? Because it will help everyone. And I know sometimes we have some Let's Go family members that can be booked on a certain cruise and they miss the email, or the email doesn't reach them, whatever. And so it really helps them stay up to date as well. So thank you all. The next thing that I just really occurred to me last night, we had a Let's Go family member who asked so many questions about like what happens if you get COVID and then you have to quarantine somewhere, who's paying for that? And then you have the question that like one of our Let's Go family members that it happened to, and she's like, well, you have to pay for it. And then you submit your claim to the insurance or to Princess and you get paid back. And some people, I'm going to be honest, can't do that. They save up for their cruise, and that's not an option. And so let me tell you, so this made me look into it a whole lot more. So I looked at several cruise lines, and remember when we were first in the restart, the cruise lines were very generous and were like, if you get COVID, if you have to quarantine, yada yada, we will pay for everything. Very generous. But it honestly seems like that is pulling back. And honestly, I get it. COVID is always going to be with us. And I don't really think that honestly the cruise lines can be responsible for paying for every single thing that happens with that and still be able to sail, because I think that would just be too much. And so what I recommend instead is don't cruise without insurance. Just don't cruise without insurance. And even if you have a lot of money, like that's a really think of how much you could help people with how much you would spend paying for like a quarantine in Vancouver for 10 days or something. Just because you have the money for it doesn't mean that that's maybe the best thing. I'm not going to tell you how to spend your money. Anyway, my suggestion is to get your insurance, and don't sail without insurance. Don't think, oh, that costs some more and I don't want to pay that extra. Pay the extra, because you never know what's going to happen. Even before COVID, we didn't know what's going to happen. But now with COVID, it's really, it's even stickier, and there is so much more of a chance that something unexpected would happen, and then you need to be able to pay for it. So as I was looking through the Princess website, remember we had like the Book with Confidence program, and they talked about like everything they would pay for. They included that in their protocols. They would talk about if you or your family member got sick, then they would pay for it and everything. That is gone. That is gone, and it is not in, like when I look at the general protocols on the other cruise lines, I don't see that anymore either. And so I checked Holland America and Royal Caribbean, and I'll take a quick look at Norwegian and let you know. But that is gone away, and all you have to do is get the insurance, and then it will pay for it if you come up against that. So keep that in mind. Now, if you are going to sail and you are someone that is not in your budget to pay for that, and that happens to you, talk to the cruise line and see if they can help make arrangements that they can pay for it and get your insurance benefits from it. Talk to them about it. That's my best suggestion. That's all I've got. But I just wanted to make you all aware that has changed a little bit from when the cruising restart happened. So make sure that you're aware of what's going on. Now, just a couple of other super quick updates here. First of all, I want to make sure that everybody knows that when you submit your forms for a shareholder benefit, that Princess doesn't call you or email you. Last night that came up in our live, and someone said they hadn't got it and they were trying to call Princess. The very first thing that you should do after you send your off your shareholder, like your brokerage statement and all of the information that you have to send, whether you mail it, email it, or fax it, wait. And so maybe like in a week, some people are getting a little faster. Start checking on your princess.com account and see if your onboard credit is showing up. So in the little drop down, like where it says my account there across the top, just check that. There's a place for your onboard credit in that. Check it and see if it's there. That's how you're going to know if you have received it. If you really haven't received it and a lot of time has gone by, like I would maybe after 2 weeks, I would go ahead and then try to contact them, or else I would just submit it again because maybe it got lost. I know that every time I need to submit ours for our October 22nd sailing, but otherwise whenever we sail it, I immediately get a reply email saying we've got your information. And so, because I email it. And so just keep that in mind. Check that on your princess.com account before you bother calling people, before you do anything else. Okay. And then the last thing I wanted to let you know is we have a little bit more information from some of you. You are so kind to give information when people need it about visiting a port. Yesterday I mentioned going into Loreto in Mexico on those Sea of Cortez sailings that they have, and our Let's Go family member Monty was so kind to say that he seconds the recommendation to visit the San Javier mission while in Loreto, and that's Javier, if I'm saying it wrong. But I really appreciate, he said, on our last visit in January, we hired a taxi once off the ship and totally enjoyed the approximate 1 hour trip out of town to the mission. Once you return, you will have time to visit the shops on the picturesque street in the sleepy little town. We love the Sea of Cortez sailings, specifically for Loreto. La Paz is pleasant, but it's a little bit busier. And so I hope that this helps some of you. I know it helps me. I save all of these in a file that I have for when we get to go there. And so that gives you a really good idea. Plus, I love, he says, you can just rent a taxi when you get done and they're happy to take you out and bring you back. So if any of you have any questions about any of this, let us know. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do subscribe and go ahead and give us a thumbs up if you appreciate these updates, and tell your friends about our channel. We would really like to grow our Let's Go family and have more people to enjoy together and to add all of their information and experiences, because it'll make all of us have a richer experience as we travel. So I'll be talking to you all again really soon. You all take really good care. God bless you. Love you. Bye-bye.